COVID. But you know what? As bad as things may seem, there's a way we can shift this, guys. There's a way we can 180 this. We can change our mindset. We can change the outcome. We can actually shift things for the greater good of not only us, but for those around us. And it comes with skill. And this skill is learned over time. And I want to start by reading a quote, if I may. And the quote goes like this: "Strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle." It's through the struggle that we learn. That's from Napoleon Hill. And I can tell you tonight, our panel has been through it. They've come out of the tunnel. They've come out on the other side. And I am telling you, the expansive knowledge. And I have to say, I was reading each one of their bios, and I've been doing this for a long time. And those of you who have been following me, I've been doing television for 9 years. And I have met so many different guests on so many different shows. But when I read these bios, I got really welled up because I thought, these are the kind of people that you really need to hear from, because they will understand everything that you've been through in life, and they have skills and strategies that can help you to get to where you are, to where you want to be. Welcome, panel. So glad you're here. So nice to see all of your faces. These are really people who are rock stars, and I want to tell you who we've got going here tonight. And as I say your name, if you can just wave so everyone knows who you are. So tonight we have with us, by the way, 2 Navy SEALs, and that's a really unbelievable accomplishment. And I want to say thank you right now for your service. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for your service. So appreciated, now more than ever. And not only do we have SEALs here, but these SEALs have really done their part on taking everything that they've learned through their experience and try to bring information and growth to you. Let's start with Lieutenant Jason Redmond. So USN is a retired naval officer and U.S. Navy SEAL. He's the founder and spokesperson of a nonprofit organization, Wounded Where, and the author of the memoir, The Trident: The Foregoing and Reforging of the Navy SEAL Officer, and his recent release, which I love, by the way, Overcome. Today, Jason has expanded his programs with the focus on helping individuals, companies, and teams to get off the X from life ambushes. Jason has appeared on numerous national news networks and frequently appears on Fox and Friends and The Huckabee Show. And I'm so grateful that you're here. Thanks for being here. So next up is Ray Cash Care. He's a Navy SEAL veteran with multiple tours and other numerous overseas security details. Upon leaving SEAL Delivery Vehicle Team 2, SDV2, Ray turned his passion and SEAL team experience to the world of self-improvement, team building. Accomplished fitness expert and speaker, Ray's approach has been featured on the History Channel and Discovery Channel. Ray is the founder of Conquer, a leadership and team building program designed to push you physically, mentally, and emotionally for individuals to break through their personal barriers. Ray Cash, so glad you're here. Welcome. Dr. Jeff Spencer. Hi, Dr. Spencer, a friend of mine for many years. He builds champions. He has seen it done and done it all backstage with U2, Tour de France. Has had one-on-ones with Richard Branson and on and on. And his secret is the Champions Roadmap. Dr. Spencer created it from over 300,000 plus hours in the high performance space. The key life highlight is he's been an Olympic cyclist, and his proudest achievement is raising his adopted daughter from Colombia when she was 10. And his aspiration is for you to perform at your fullest potential. Welcome, Dr. Spencer.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least is Kara Kellyann. Hi, Kara. How are you? This is an amazing woman. She was born and raised in the heart of New Jersey, and Kara grew up in a household where athletics and academics were the absolute top priority. At the age of 3, she had her lung removed due to a tumor that was covering 75% of her left lung. She contests her love for human anatomy and physiology was born from that moment. And with her body's adaptation and continuous push, both mentally and physically, she was able to gain a scholarship to play at the NCAA level in basketball. Wow. Level 4 ACL reconstructions. So her ACL tour, right? And so later in life, her right knee blew out and she had no real basketball career left in sight. So she was left wondering, why is this happening to me? And that is where her purpose began. And we can't wait to hear more. So you can see that these are people that they do not play. So when I read this, the first thing that comes to mind to me for all of you, and I'm going to open this up for everyone, I'm not going to direct it to one person. All of you have achieved the top 1% of what you do. And I want to know, first of all, I want to know, what does that feel like? What is it about you that gave you that drive to say, I'm going? And to really achieve that, because no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing in life, all of us feel good. We all feel our best when we are reaching our highest potential. We are. That is when we're in full purpose. So my question directly is, how does it feel to be in that 1%? How does it feel in your body? How does it feel in your spirit? And what drove you to get there? Let's start with you, Ray.
So, well, thank you. I appreciate you for having me on. My drive and determination, it all started at a young age, came from just the power of negativity. Everybody's always told me since I was little that I would never amount to anything. I was worthless. I was this, I was that. And it was the self-discipline that I learned over the years in developing the mindset, the conquer mindset, the attack the hill mindset, that I wanted to prove people wrong and prove to myself that I was more than, what everybody else thought I was. How does it feel to be a 1%er, the tip of the spear? It's amazing and humbling if you can relate to that, because even though I'm like a 1% of what I do, I'm on here with another 1%er. We have the same profession. I don't categorize myself in the same category as him. Even though we're 1%ers, there's different compartments from there that go higher and higher. So it's humbling. And why I love my attack the hill mindset is just everything. The hill represents obstructions, things that get in the way in life. And I have literally just taken pain, any type of pain, physical, emotional, social, spiritual pain. I've learned how to profit from it, not just from a monetary standpoint, but I've learned how to channel that negativity and that pain into positivity. And whatever I set my mind to, I do. And that's it. And I always will do it.
And it's just, no is not an option. We're going to get to more of that, Ray. And how about you, Jason? Tell me, how does it feel to be in that 1%? How does it feel in your body? What drove you to just go for
it? In some ways, a little bit, I think as human beings, and probably that competitive side also, of being told that you couldn't do it. Hey, there were a lot of people. I think anytime that you lay out, I'm going to do some incredibly lofty aspiration, whether it's an Olympic athlete, whether you're overcoming grievous injury, or in this case, I want to become a SEAL. Everybody said I couldn't do it. And that did drive me. There was a component of that. And then once you get there, there's an immense amount of, wow, I really did it. But you suddenly start to realize, and actually for me, it developed over several years and really more and more years of combat and loss, a high level of respect for what we had achieved. And also to uphold this tradition, if you will, of all these other incredible people. I mean, Ray and I go way back. I mean, we were in training together, and many of the brothers we served with are no longer here. And I think that that's something that it wasn't until later in my career that I began to appreciate that, to understand that, hey, it's not just a matter that you're part of this group. You are upholding a legacy. Everything you do is reflected upon these guys that are no longer here, the guys that are currently doing it, and generations from now, the guys that are going to grow up and do it in the future. So that's something I think about all the time. So being a SEAL, I'll forever be a SEAL. I'll forever be associated with that. So I need to carry myself in that manner for everything I do.
Because that
And
actually
I sometimes
means
feel like I
something.
fall short. I'm sorry.
You know,
What's that, Kellyann?
no, because what I was saying is everything you said actually means something. It's a matter of integrity. You feel a matter of integrity to behave in a certain way as a SEAL. And I think what you were saying about falling short, that's the thing about being, you know, so determined to be the top of your game. You always sometimes feel like I need, you know, there's more to climb, there's more to do, there's more to express, there's more to feel, there's more to serve. You know, that's just a part of it. Kara, tell us about, you're mind blowing, and you've been through so much, and I can't wait to talk about your story. But we're just opening now by, you know, again, getting to that top place. What I want to do, and the reason why I'm asking this question is I want all of you to get into that place where you actually feel what it feels like to achieve at that high level. And we're going to teach you how to get there. So Kara.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kellyann. I appreciate it. For me, I'm going to take a different perspective here, especially as the female on this panelist, and the way I think about the world and 1% and what that means is, I think to even become part of the 1% is understanding and having this understanding that you are wired differently, that you are not wired the same as the other 99%. And taking that, owning it, and moving forward with it, and understanding that people might not understand what your journey is, and that servant's heart and your purpose and your desires and how hard you go and how hard you live life, and being okay with that, being okay with understanding that when I do get though to the 1%, because I am wired differently, I'm going to be a top of a class and a top of a panel and a part of an inner circle that is going to serve this world much greater than the other 99%. And being a female, it just takes that much more weight, takes a lot more hold, because females aren't supposed to be that driven. Females are supposed to be cooks in the kitchen, they're supposed to be stay-at-home moms, and there's nothing wrong with that. To each their own. I think there's a place for everything, but at the same time, if you are, again, taking this feelings perspective, wired in a different sense, or you have that drive and you do want to go a different direction with your life, and that's what you feel is calling you, don't be afraid to take hold of it, take accountability, and move forward with it no matter what anyone says. It's okay to be wired differently.
I agree. And I've had a lot of that myself. I call it, you know, how I paraphrase it, I call it being a tiger. Just be a tiger. Don't be afraid. I totally agree with that. And that has a lot to do with how you get there. Jeff, Dr. Spencer, tell us about yourself. You've done some amazing things. So tell us how it feels to be in that position where you've done these incredible things, as we talked about, Tour de France and such, and working as a doctor on these elite athletes and so forth. How did you get there? How does it feel?
Well, when I was 7 years old, I thought it would be just absolutely cool to become an Olympian. I didn't know how I was going to do it. Then I showed some very precocious ability on a bicycle, and I had just a great coach that was the 3-time Olympian and 5-time national champion, and he taught me how to win. He said, you need to learn how to win first, and then you could become a good cyclist. And then I had a mentor when I was 18, and I was studying at the University of Southern California, sports science, and he was 76, and I was 18, and I was chosen to be his mentor in helping him craft his glass masterpieces. And he played for me in our breaks, classical music. He read poetry to me. He read the great philosophers. And he said, I need to fill you up on this stuff, which he did. And so there was several different sides to me that were cultivated. And the way that I looked at this calling is that I was called by the Olympics to pursue it. I didn't choose it. It chose me. And I felt like there was a very personal honor ritual that needed to be observed and respected by stepping up and honoring it, by stepping into it with everything I had to be able to create that and manifest that. And also the fact that I had great help, knowing that no one wins alone. You need a team. And every time I created something of extraordinary achievement, it wasn't me. It was on the shoulders of the great people that helped me. And I felt that every time I did something that was extraordinary in its in and of itself, that it honored the people, my family, my friends, my mentors, my benefactors that gave something to me that I couldn't give myself. And so I feel that there's an obligation, a moral obligation to be the best that we can be, to showcase our uniqueness on this planet, because there's only one of us in all of creation. Nobody has the chance that we have to create our distinction and make our mark on human history that will be in the human archive forever, and the internet for people to observe what we did with our life and what we did with our time and our talents. And because of that, being an Olympian, I can actually say that I know what it's like to play at your full potential. It puts tears in my eyes, because it's like, once you do something like that, Jack's out of the box, you can't put yourself back in the box. I understand why astronauts go to the moon and they come back tweaked. They just can't relate to the average human experience. And for me, quite honestly, I want to be supernatural, not natural. I want to be superhuman, not human, not for my own sake, but to honor my talents and to tell other people what's possible by demonstrating that through my ability to do that. And so that's why I do what I do.
I'm pretty sure you're doing that. You have an ability to reach and touch people, and that's pretty extraordinary. And we can't wait to hear more. So let's open it up to Ray here. Ray, I want to ask you a question, because there is an acronym. It's VUCA. It's VUCA. And that means volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, and following those kind of conditions. And, you know, excuse me, this is for, so sorry. Let's do this for Jason. Jason, VUCA, what does this mean? Because I know that we're going through a lot right now dealing with the state of the nation, and we're all feeling so many things. We're all feeling that there's so many complex and unusual, certainly uncertain situations around us. You say that as a Navy SEAL, that we can go through these uncharted waters, and we can actually learn from it and deal with this crisis. How so using this VUCA?
Well, I think VUCA is just a term for the environment that you're operating in. And I think anytime, you know, the interesting thing, there's so many parallels between combat and the military and real life, the business world that we operate in. So often we come up with amazing plans. We put together great teams. We have leaders. We have everything in place. And then all of a sudden it gets tossed on its head. The plan goes out the window. Your leaders, their strengths suddenly become their weaknesses, and you realize the team doesn't work in this new chaotic environment you've suddenly found yourself in. And that's tough. A lot of teams will fail when that occurs. Other teams figure out to pivot, and then other teams, it just looks like they flourish through environments like that. The SEAL teams are one of those teams that flourishes in environments like that, but it's because of the way we build the SEAL teams. It's because of the way we train SEALs. It starts from day one in training. When, you know, Ray and I went through SEAL training together. SEAL training is designed to be as unfair as possible. They will tell you exactly what goals you have to achieve, and you will achieve a level of perfection. And you will think to yourself, man, we did it. We were perfect. And then you will be beat for it. I mean, not physically, but mentally, and yeah, in some ways physically, but it is designed to mess with your mind. But what it's really designed to do is build this mindset of, it doesn't matter how bad things get, I'm going to always continue to drive forward. And that just translates itself into almost every aspect of your life. It's some of the things that I try and teach to businesses and individuals, this idea of getting off the X regardless of what's going on in your life. It's one of the things we used to do on combat operations in the SEAL teams. We would execute a target, and we would lay out a plan, and we would go do this target, but suddenly everything would either A, fall apart, or B, what more frequently would happen, you would come to find out that the dynamics and the information you had was either dated or absolutely incorrect. And what we would have to do is, instead of just calling back and saying, hey guys, the information we had is wrong, so we're just going to call it a night, we would gather information on the spot, and we would pivot, or what we called flex, and we would move to another location based off the information we had. And there's a lot of people that aren't willing to be that agile, but it is what enables success. And I think your elite performers have the ability to do that in uncertain, complex, chaotic environments like you talk about with VUCA.
And so it's really building that muscle. Is that what it is? It's just, you go through a threshold of pain. And once you get to that threshold, you can take that pain threshold to another level until your body or your mind becomes customized to that, and it expands, your mind in a way? Is that what happens? That you just the pain point makes you go to a different level. Every pain point kind of gets you to a different level.
It does. And it's being proactive in your thinking. It's creating balance in your life. And I teach something called the change pyramid. The middle two levels are the comfort zone and the zone of discomfort. Above the zone of discomfort is the burnout zone. A lot of people live in this zone, but really your elite top performers, the Olympic athletes, the Navy SEALs, you understand, and it's in an infinite loop of pushing up into that zone of discomfort where it's a little painful, it's a little uncomfortable, but you're growing, you're getting better, until suddenly after a time, it becomes your new comfort zone. Yes. But then elite performers don't settle there. They go, well, now I'm going to push this a little further. So it's this continuous infinite loop where there's always a little bit of uncertainty. There's always a little bit of discomfort, but they're always getting better.
Yeah, you begin to realize that's how you grow. You begin to realize that over time. Ray, question for you. Let's talk about what it really takes to become a Navy SEAL, because a lot of us, we're complaining about, we've got to be on all these Zoom calls, and oh my gosh, the grocery stores don't have enough food. There's no toilet paper. But talk about what it really takes to become a SEAL, and about Hell Week, and how do you survive it? Tell them about what Hell Week is and how you get through that, and how that could be a lesson in your life.
So Hell Week in a nutshell. I wish I could say this more adequately. It sucks. It's just a kick in the butt for 5 days straight. But the thing that you have to realize, and then let's rewind, is what it takes to get through there is it's called programming. It's programming the mind and the heart. The body, I'm telling you this right now, Jason Redmond and I were in the Smurf crew. We were the shortest. We were the smallest. We didn't win at pretty much anything, but we still made it, because you have to program yourself that you're never going to quit. They always say failure is not an option. I don't believe that. I fail every day. What I believe is quitting is not an option. I will not quit. Jason is one of my mentors. I call him daily, because you have to program yourself ahead of time to be comfortable being uncomfortable. I've taught this to the UCLA Bruins and NFL football teams. People think they have this plateau, this threshold, and I like to climb. I like to boulder. I like to rock climb. And I tell people what it takes to get through buds is this. You can't be scared of heights. And people go, I don't understand what that means. Well, this is what I'll tell you. When people start climbing up, like to the Olympic level, right? We got the man on here himself. A lot of times people climb up that pyramid or that hill to success. And when they get up there, couple things are going to happen. One, it gets hard to breathe up there, right? They start getting anxiety. They start getting panic. He knows what I'm talking about. People are their own worst enemies. And two, they become automatically scared of heights because they're so used to being at ground level. When they look down and see all those people that are trying to get up there, I reprogram myself to say that, there is no peak. I'm never going to stop getting to the top. There's no mountain I can't climb. So what does it take to get through buds? It takes programming. You have to program the mind, and because if you program that mind and the heart, the strength will come, people say I can't do 1,020 push-ups. That was the big thing that's been going on lately. So I've been doing this for 9 weeks straight with men, women, and children, and they're doing it because I broke it down and told them, if you can't do it as fast as me, that's fine. Now in the SEAL teams, we don't have that option. There are cutoff times, and if you don't make it, you're done. But in real life, if you're just trying to get better, because I don't believe, the mindset I have is there's no such thing as perfection. There's only progression, moving the needle in the right direction. So as long as you keep climbing and you keep grinding and you keep getting uncomfortable and you keep pushing yourself, not physically, but mentally. Like I do a lot of these crazy workouts, and I know I can't speak for Doc, but I know when he's on that bike and he was doing his time trials, it's not a physical feat that you're going through. It's mental. It's you're fighting yourself. Sometimes in battle, I've been in battle too. At times I'm my worst enemy, because sometimes, like Jason was talking about, building up that muscle memory. That's why we're so great at what we do, right? Doc's pedaled that bike probably 1 million times in a week. Jason and I have run drills. We develop SOPs, standard operating procedures. You have to become the warrior of whatever it is you want to do. And that's what Jason and I tell people. We're going to make you the Navy SEAL of whatever it is you want to be. the stay-at-home mom, the doc. We want to make you that tier 1 operator. So, and how do you do that? You start programming yourself that, failure is an option. Quitting is not an option. I don't like that. I think it's a cliche, because if failure is not an option, then I shouldn't be on this panel, because I fail. I get up and I talk in front of people, and I've actually opened for Jason before, and I've told people, I've got 45 minutes to tell you how many times I failed, but I've got the same amount of time to tell you how many times I've gotten up. So it's all about programming, Doc, and making sure that, we talked about the acronym TEAM. It's not together everybody trust what? Together everybody trust what? Something. Together everybody accomplishes more. It's trust, effort, attitude, and mission. I'm sorry. You got to trust in yourself and your team. You got to have 100% effort in everything you do, positive attitude, and you have got to have a mission, whatever that mission is, whether it's the Olympics, mission success, coming home, bringing everybody home safe, basketball, you name it, being the doctor. You have to have that mission and have that front sight focus. That's what it takes.
I have to tell you, I should just jump up right now and start. This to me speaks to me so much, because I feel such truth in everything that they're saying. It's very inspiring. Kara, question for you. You've been through a lot. You have had many setbacks, and, you're beaming and you're radiant and you're smiling, and, you really want to give and serve. So we talked about how doctors removed one of your lungs because a tumor covered 75% of it. And, now here you are, you've done all these kind of things. You won a sports scholarship. You played NCAA at the NCAA highest level, basketball. So how did you push yourself physically and mentally after going through this setback? What, again, we keep going back to all this mindset. What was it that got you through all that?
Yeah, thank you, Kellyann. The biggest thing for me was understanding that not only am I wired differently, but I am enough. I've had, there's my bio.
1 minute. I have to stop you for one. Please read me. I am enough.
Yep.
I am enough. If you get anything out of the talk tonight, is to really kind of own I am enough. I have to say, there's so many patients, and myself included, that has been the biggest hurdle that we've had. You can have 15 degrees. You can be the most beautiful woman in the world. You have to know you are enough. Go ahead, Kara.
Oh yeah, I have trained a few supermodels now that I'm living in LA, and I hear it all the time. The mental chatter in their brain that they're never going to get to that next level. And quite frankly, that stress only deteriorates them further. I've seen it in celebrity, everyone from the celebrity to the professional, the professional athlete. I work with a few Olympians, especially on the street skating side. And I have to have this conversation with them, not all the time. Once we start to implement the strategies, they start to see the clearer picture. But just coming back to recognizing that I am enough. And I say staying fat. So similar to the acronyms that Jason and Ray have utilized, I like to say staying fat. FAT stands for flexible, adaptable, and teachable. And we used to use that all the time within the collegiate basketball space when I used to coach around the country. And we also used to use the acronym SHAPE. SHAPE is actually not spelt like we think. It's SCHAPE. It stands for shaping your spirit, yourself and your spirit. So your volume, your tone of voice. The E stands for communication. The H stands for your hustle. The A stands for your approach. The P stands for precision. How precise are you within your environment, within yourself, within how you're communicating to others, which goes along with C. And then E stands for enhancement. So how you're enhancing yourself moment to moment, day to day, in your interactions with people. So we used to use those two acronyms, and I've used them throughout my life. I actually have one in Morse code on my body as a daily reminder of how I continue to live in each moment and surround myself with each and every person. So my bio could go on for, I did everything from NBC's Titan Games, where I got to meet Dwayne Johnson, to who I work with now and master's program. And I always get asked the question of, how did you make it through all those events? And for me, I used to hesitate because it's not something that I made through. It's something that happened to me for the specific reason because I'm strong enough to have that challenge. To me, it was more of a gratitude thing than a why is this happening to me circumstance. And every experience you're given is because the universe or the events that are happening to you are actually something that you deserve, because it's going to make you that much better. It's going to help you to help others and serve others in a better fashion, because you're going to learn and you're going to grow and develop not only a stronger rhythm, but a stronger energy, a stronger wiring within yourself.
And I deserve it. There's a lot of really good points there, and I appreciate that. Thank you. And Dr. Spencer, you have worked with everyone from, Tiger Woods to you two, and you talk about a world-class mindset. So how can all of us get that world-class mindset so we can apply that to every aspect of our life right now?
Well, the most important thing is to understand that our human nature actually has two mindsets that are working parallel against each other 24 hours a day. We've got our human mindset that's our fear-based survival instincts that gets first dibs at every moment of our life. And it happens faster than we can think. And it's only based on producing survival. So for example, if you slip and fall, your hand knows where to put itself to break the fall faster than we could think. That's survival. But what do we know about survival instincts? Have you ever said anything to somebody that you thought sounded so well, and then once you said it, you realized it was the worst thing that you could have said, but it sounded so right at the time? Well, that's our fear-based survival instinct saying something to survive. But you can't create a life of excellence if your life is directed through your fear-based survival instincts. It isn't going to happen. So we have that on one side. The other mindset that we have is the champion's mindset. And I know that we have a champion's mindset because I've never met a person that quit to get up and fail. I've never seen it. And so all of us instinctively have a spawning instinct to create a life of relevance, value, and contribution. And these two are at war with each other 24 hours a day for control over our decision making. And it's imperative that we understand that our first impulse self may not be telling us what we really need to do to be the person that we want to be for other people. We may need to pause and look at another way of doing things. And let's be clear about one thing. In my opinion, the imposter us is our human nature that tells us and controls our life, that can't take us to a higher level if we can't demonstrate and show a path for others to follow if we engage life through that. So when it comes to the champion's mindset, because it's not survival, it doesn't get first dibs, but it does have final say. And when we take actions that champions in business, sports, and entertainment have clearly demonstrated for us will take us to higher ground, when we implement that, then that suppresses our human nature, survival instincts, and pushes it into the background. And that's the only way that we can create excellence. So for example, let's say we've been talking about perfection here. One thing I wanted to add to what Ray said, like in the cycling world and where I come from, kind of the mantra is pain is temporary, but quitting is forever. Just wanted to mention that. And so when we look at the champion's mindset, a couple things is that, let's say we're given an opportunity, our fear-based survival instinct will say, what do I stand to lose here? It's cold, it's defensive, it doesn't want to hug, it doesn't want to share. But champions don't think like that. Champions are, what do I stand to gain with this? I'm an expert at something. What can I contribute and how can I support other people to get to their greatness? Mm-hmm. So it's another way of looking at things. Another example of this, we talked about perfection earlier. And so I was called in 2.5 weeks before an Olympic final to work with an athlete who was favored to win the gold medal, and he was mentally unraveling. And they asked if I could help him. Of course, I was an Olympian, I'd love to. So I talked with the athlete and I said, here's the problem, is that you and your team are succumbing to the human nature myth that you have to be perfect to put in the perfect jump to win the Olympic gold medal. I said, you're not going to win it by making contingencies for all the details and all the things that you think could go wrong to do what has to go right to win. And that's the problem, because Your mind, the trickster, is always going to make you think that there's something out there that you haven't found, that you're going to put all your confidence in. Therefore, you've already lost. So this is what the champions do. It's not about perfection. It's about doing the one or two things that have to go right to deliver on the promise when it has to be executed. So I said, 2 things and you win the gold medal. Just do these 2 things over the next 2 weeks. Number 1, don't change your workout. Don't change your warm-up, because now you're screwing around with your warm-up. You're changing all these things. Your body's confused. It's run back into the cave. It doesn't want to come out and perform because it's uncertain. It's afraid. Just go back to how you prepared, just like Jason and everybody else said. I said the second thing, it's your first 4 steps to the run-up, determine where your foot hit the board to get to the lift to win. And I don't know anything about the broad jump, but I knew those 2 things, and I knew how to talk to him as a human. And when I gave him permission and I said, the elusive 1 to 2% is not trying harder, it's backing off and letting your mind, body, and soul rest up to work together as a unified unit that allows the exponential to be able to happen. And how that applies to how we're living today is that don't take this too far out into the future, because there are certain facts we don't know. So it's just pure conjecture that will drive us all crazy. Let's not go there. Let's look at what we do know, and let's look at the 1 or 2 things that have to go right in this moment to inch us forward to make sure that we're healthy and we're fulfilling our obligations. And that's how we're going to get through this in a sensible way without driving ourselves crazy. So another example, if I may.
It seems so much easier than all the stories that we tell each other. If you tell yourself a different alternative story, that will work so much better for our mind and body.
Well, that's exactly right. What is the genesis of those stories that we tell ourselves that don't work well? It's our human nature. It's our fear-based survival instincts that you can't shut off. It's on 24 hours a day, and that's the conflict that we experience. So we can learn a lot from the champions, and I'm actually learning a lot from our panel here. So thank you very much, fellow panel members.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jason, I'm going to toss one to you. I know that you have a 5-point plan, and I found it very interesting, a 5-point plan for dealing with crisis, and you call it the REACT system. And I'm curious about this because a lot of people right now kind of feel like they're in a crisis. A lot of people are going through a lot of different things in their homes and with their family. So tell us about this system, and can you go through it point by point and help us understand?
Yeah, Dr. Kellyann. I mean, really, it came about from a couple of different ideas. One being that I survived an enemy ambush, and being on the receiving end of enemy machine gun fire obviously is a pretty intimidating, overwhelming experience. But what I found over the years, the past 12 years of being out there and working with wounded warriors and working with companies and individuals that have been through crisis and trauma, is that everybody some point in their life feels the same way that I felt in that firefight. And it may not be actual bullets and bombs hitting you, but they're the bullets and bombs of life. And we call that specific point when you feel that way the X. In combat, you're on the X when you're in an ambush or the point of attack. I call these life ambushes. You're on the X in a life ambush. So in the military, we have things called immediate action drills. We train to be ready that if things go wrong, if you find yourself on the X, what can we immediately do to get out of that situation? And what I began to realize is that whether it's a real world ambush or whether it's a life ambush, people tend to react the same way. They're overwhelmed. They focus on the pain and misery. We focus on what we've lost. We focus on the past. We want back what's gone, instead of what we really need to do is looking forward and quickly get out of that situation and start making forward progress. We can never change the past. We can only shape the future. And oftentimes there's a little bit of uncertainty in that, but we focus on the here and now and we control what we can. So that led to the REACT methodology. And the REACT methodology is this. The R stands for recognize. And really oftentimes this is the biggest hurdle when it's just a natural thing for people that when we are in a life ambush or a crisis, there's a little bit of delay time to admit it. Nobody wants to admit that the world, that Rome is burning, when it's really the opposite. The faster we can come to grips with a problem or a crisis in our life, that the faster we can move forward and start getting off that X and start getting out of that situation. So recognition is number one. The faster you can say, Houston, we have a problem, the faster you're ready to start moving things forward. E stands for evaluate your assets and inventory. In any situation, there's a feeling of there's no hope. This is beyond my control. There's nothing I can do. Once you recognize and you start to evaluate, now we start to assess what are the tools in my toolbox that I have right now that I can bring to bear on this problem. And 90% of the time, there are things you can do. There are things you can control. There are things you have at your disposal you can bring to bear on this problem. They may not have been the normal way you had planned on doing things, but suddenly when you take a step back and you say, okay, oh yeah, I do have this, or I do have that. So knowing we have our assets in inventory also brings about a critical thing. It brings hope. Suddenly we have hope, and that positivity is a powerful thing when we're trying to get out of a crisis. Number 3 is assess our options and outcomes. Now that we know what we have within our inventory, we know what assets we have, now we can start looking at, okay, if I take option A, what is the outcome going to be? And for a lot of people, there's a natural tendency, a sense of urgency. It's like, there was this delay where we didn't really want to admit we were in a crisis, and now we've recognized it, and now we know we have tools to use. So suddenly it's like, we got to go right now. But it's important to take a breath. In combat, we call this, you got to let the battlefield develop. It allows us to look around and see what's going on. And believe it or not, even in a gunfight, as long as you're behind something that stops bullets, you have some time to assess what's going on. And this is where we start to look at, okay, if I was to go this direction, what would the outcome look like? If I went this direction, what would the outcome look like? And life should be the same way, recognizing that sometimes you have to take the harder path for the better outcome. And there's a natural tendency in life that we want to just take the immediate, easy path, but oftentimes it doesn't get us where we need to go. Number 4 is you've got to choose and communicate. You're never in a life ambush by yourself. When crisis happens, your friends, your family, your business, everybody, the X, the point of attack, has a gravitational pull to it. People get pulled onto the X. And we've all seen this in life. We have a friend or someone that's going through a crisis, and they're in a crisis, even if they don't want to admit it yet, even if they haven't made it to that first step. So it's really important that you choose which path you're going to take, and then you communicate it. And by doing that, it accomplishes 2 things. One, as a leader, it's natural to be thinking through, oh, maybe step A is the best, maybe option B is the best, maybe option C, and continue to go back and forth. Choose one, especially if you don't have all the information, you can't wait forever, you need to get off that X quickly, just choose one. And when you choose one and you articulate it, you now have created a level of accountability, because it's just human nature. Once you say things to other people, there's a natural feeling as a leader, well, I got to execute this. And the other thing it does, it gives others hope. It gives others hope to get off that X. They're like, somebody has a plan. Let's go. I can't wait to get out of this crisis. And then the last one is you've got to take action. So many people will sit there forever on the X, or they'll go through this whole plan and then they're waiting for that perfect moment. Well, I'm just going to wait till we close this deal. I'm going to wait till we have this cash flow. I'm going to wait till this perfect moment comes along. I'm going to wait till suddenly there's a lull in gunfire. Oftentimes that never comes. There's never a perfect moment in life. You've got to execute. So take action. That is the REACT methodology. I'll leave you with this. The X is like quicksand. The longer you sit on it, the more it pulls you down and the harder it is to get up and go. And I've watched a lot of people out there that have been through trauma, failure, who wither and die. Maybe not physically, but mentally, emotionally, or financially on the X, because they were unwilling to make a decision, because they were too focused on the past and what they lost instead of looking to the future. So this is why it's critical to get off the X. The people that get off the X the fastest are your top performers out there. They are the 1%ers. They are the individuals that thrive out of a crisis, not just survive.
And if I may say so, Jason, that was beautifully put. I see that in patients too. That's the same thing applies with your body and with health, and really making that decision to pivot and doing it directed. It's very true in all aspects. Like I said, even your body, even in looking at your health. I've got some questions for you, Ray. So Ray, one of the things that I think a lot of people have a hard time understanding is, when things go wrong and, we get really toppled over when things go wrong or things don't go as planned. So what you're saying is that, sometimes when when you're a SEAL, that you learn that no matter how good a plan is, that something's going to go wrong nearly 100% of the time.
Yes.
So how do we bounce back? And you call it regrouping when life knocks you out. So how can we do this? And I think a lot of us feel a little knocked out right now. How do we regroup?
Well, regrouping, I think, has to start from within. So I think every single person on this planet has a superpower, the reason why they were put on this earth, right, to serve or to do something, but they also have a kryptonite. So they have a weakness. So in order to regroup, the first thing I tell people to do, it's a 3-step process. I keep it simple, stupid. The KISS is you have to name it. Before I'm going to go into battle with Jason Redman, and I've gone into battle with Jason Redman, I need to make sure that my head's on, screwed on right. I need to make sure that I'm in the game, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to name it, I'm going to claim it, and I'm going to tame it. I'm going to figure out what my superpower is, whether it's insecurity, whether it's doubt, whether it's remorse, no matter what it could be. And I'm going to learn how to channel that. I'm going to change it from my superpower, from my kryptonite. I'm going to change it into my superpower. What I do and how people can regroup is people always fall back on when things go bad, they fall back to, like people get tense or they get nervous or the emotions get to them. Well, that's a kryptonite. So you have to program yourself to do better. And it all comes down to me is once I name it, claim it, and tame it, I have to do my decision-making 101. Now in the SEAL teams, right, Jason Redman and I can go into a room and he's gonna break left and I'm gonna break right because he's the officer. Whatever way he goes, I'm gonna go the opposite way. And we have to go into that room and we have to do 2 or 3 things. We have to analyze, assess, and execute. Now, when I say execute, guys, I don't mean execute people. I mean we have to execute a plan. And the same thing happens. So you have to analyze the situation. What is the situation? You have to assess what's going on, and then you have to execute or make a decision. All I do with people that are having problems and my coaching clients, I say, hey, you're not a Navy SEAL. Let's just do it like this. Ask, make, take. Ask what the problem is or what your problem is. Make a decision on how you're going to figure it out, as in like, hey, I need coaching. I need a mentor. I want to go to the Olympics. I need to make the decision. I'm just looking because you're in the middle of my screen, sir. And then you have to do this, like Jason said, you have to take action. If you don't take action on anything, when the problem comes, when the bullets are flying over, like Jason said, and I believe him, this can be a gun too, because I've signed my name to some things, or, it doesn't matter what you do, whether it's the battlefield, the business field, or the home field, people have problems and you have to figure out how to take action on them. And the best way that people are going to learn how to do this is you have to literally name it, claim it, and tame it. If you don't tame that beast, because a kryptonite yours is a beast. Everybody tries to just live off of their superpower. Like, Jason is one of the most resourceful officers I've ever met in my life. But what you don't know about Jason is when he was enlisted, I'm going to call him out right here. One of his kryptonites was he had a quick temper, a quick fuse. Am I right? I mean, right, sir? Give me a thumbs up. But he learned how, he took action on it, right? And when he became an officer, because you can't be a hothead officer, you can't be a hothead coach, you can't be in the games with Dwayne Johnson losing your cool, because I'm actually a big fan of yours too. My point is all the people that are successful have taken action because they have figured out what the problem is, and then they've learned how to control that beast. The people that aren't successful are the people that only do 2 or 3 steps of that process, the ask, make, take. They just ask what the problem is, and then they react on emotion, or they don't analyze all the information. People cannot be successful unless, like in the SEAL teams, we have to have intel. We have to gather information. And that's what's so important all the time. And the other thing that I want to talk about real quick, and that's why I have it on my hand, is time. Time is a precious commodity.
Yes.
They have a chart. I have a chart that I have ordered. Average male lives this long, female lives this long. You do the math, 100 years times 52 weeks in a year, you can figure it out how long you've lived. I got this tattoo because this is what I know. If you want to regroup and you want to be better, now is the time. The people that prolong greatness, they say tomorrow. I don't believe in that mindset. My mindset is get up like you won the lottery. Time plus effort equals results. Get up, attack life, attack the hill, give it all you have. Tomorrow when you get up, and this is what I tell myself, tomorrow I'm going to sleep in late. I'm going to get up and take a break. But when I get up the same time every morning, my pattern of life, and I attack it again. I am never going to rest. I'm never going to stop. And the people that need to figure out how to regroup, the time is now. Name, claim, and tame it. All right. Ask, make, and take it right now. Because if you don't, guys, I'm telling you this. I've had people that have gone to sleep that are in perfect health, and I'm sure there's some other panelists on here that know people that have left this earth way too early when they had no business leaving this earth, and there's unanswered questions. My thing is I tell every person right now, this is your homework. Write a eulogy on yourself right now of what you think is going to be left if you left the earth right now. I didn't like what my eulogy said. So what I'm doing right now is I'm changing it. How am I doing that? By providing a service, doing things with Jason, providing for the community, and being the best version of me I can be. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. And that's, and that's showing up every day. And, what I'm learning just from hearing the panelists, if I can just kind of weave some things together, is they have patterns to their life and patterns to their day. And I want you to really hear that and listen to this, because so many of the things are very habitual, and anyone can learn this. You really, really can. So I want you just to really have attention go to that. They wake up. And by the way, most of the patients and the people that I've worked with that have been successful in their endeavors in life, they do have a pattern. They have a beat to their life. They get up early, and they're very structured. It works. Kara, I want to go to you, because a lot of people are, we're talking about taking blows in their life, whether it be financial or there's a mom who had a certain life and now she's homeschooling, and a lot of different twists and turns are going on right now. And I know even the Olympics might be canceled. There's a lot going on with athletes now more than ever. So how are you helping your athletes and other people that come to you deal with all these blows to their careers? Maybe people are losing their job, what have you. How are you helping people get through this?
Yeah, the biggest thing, Dr. Kellyann, when I'm working with clients, athletes, even moms, I had a mom and a dad earlier this morning, and they had job loss. And it's a consistent factor in people's lives, especially right now during this quarantine, stay-at-home order. And I always challenge people that what's happening right now in your mind is a disease of me. I call it the disease of me. You're using this circumstance to attack yourself and your self-worth and turn it into an excuse. What you really need to repivot within your mind is, okay, so what? I lost a job. It's not an excuse for what I can do next. Maybe this was just the answer I needed and the blessing I was given to find out what I really should have been doing with my life.
Yes.
And a lot of people take job loss, and I'm working with a few athletes right now because street skating I was going to be in Japan this summer for the street skating. So it was going to be the first time. It was going to be the Olympics, and they're all excited. And then their first time going in, and another year, and it was a whole mess of emotions going on. And I would keep asking them, check yourself, continually check in with yourself, figure out, is this a disease of me occurring? These excuses, these changes in schedule, maybe we're going back, especially in the street skater community, we're going back to old habits, old behaviors. Just like Ray was saying, naming it, claiming it, taming it. That's a big thing that goes on continually within any community and any human. And if we don't take action as to what exactly is going on and figure out, okay, well, what is my stress awareness in this situation? Is it disease me? Is it because I really like this job, or did I not like this job at all and now I'm just stressed out financially? Because I've had, a few athletes that, they've actually decided that they actually didn't want to be an Olympic athlete. They just wanted to do it because everyone was told them that because street skating, it was the first time it was going to be Olympics, that they had to be the first. And street skating culturally is not a very competitive or traditionally competition-based event. It's very much a freedom-based culture. And a lot of them felt like they were forced into doing so. And now with this extra year to think about it, they're realizing that that was not their real purpose in life. And it was just the disease of, I wanted money and fame and people told me I had to do it. And I'm realizing that actually this was a blessing. My life purpose actually isn't this. It's doing videos for kids, teaching them how to skate. With some moms and dads and supermodels, it's running different events, charitable events, giving their time, because your time, anything you do in life is no small investment of your time. Everything is a large investment of what you're doing, because like Ray and Jason had said, time is very, very finite. And once you understand that that is a blessing and then it's not just this curse, and figuring out what place am I in mentally, where's my stress awareness, is when we can start to draw the lines and, like I say, pinpoint the dots about where I want to go next. And for a lot of people, I'll tell them, and one of the tricks I use is, today I want you to pick some time, pick an hour where you're going to set aside that hour to listen to different forms of music, to go jump in a pool if you haven't been in your pool in months, to read a book or watch a show maybe you haven't watched in a while, to have a conversation with someone you may have not had that conversation with in a while, because you might find out that that show, that activity, that conversation sparks something innately in you that you didn't realize you were so passionate about. And in that lies maybe your new opportunity, your new job. Maybe I've watched Criminal Minds before and be like, you know what, I should probably be in the FBI. Sometimes that's the opportunity that we need. And
that's right.
Silly, but for a lot of people, they're using it at this time as an excuse and taking that stress and flipping it in another direction, where stress can be a very good thing if we frame it in the direction of, actually, this is my time to find out what I really was put on this earth to do.
And I think this is, for a lot of people, this is an ideal time to really, really reset and recategorize. So we're running low on time. I do have a couple more questions I want to ask. Dr. Spencer, do the one thing that has to go right. I have quoted you saying that. What does that mean?
Well, that means that at any point in time, there's always a context. And if you understand what the context is, there's only one best action to move forward. You know, if we think that there are 3 or 4 options, generally it means that you haven't dug deep enough to extract out all the factors that need to be considered. And
how about the risks associated with goals? Because we're all talking about goals, but sometimes there's risk associated with them, and you address those. You want to speak to that really quickly?
Sure. I think there's always a risk of everything, and probably the greatest risk of all right now is to do nothing. I think what's critical is that we get our brains wrapped around what the context really is and what the real threats really are, not the ones that are imagined, but what are the real threats. And if we're not sure, then we ask people that we know that can help us define what that is. And then we decide a course of action moving forward in a progression that has the right steps between it, so it's not too big of a jump too quick, and we're not getting too far ahead of ourselves. And every time we take an action to the known next step, then another set of reality reveals itself, then we can refine and take the next step progressively towards the future. And that's always our best path forward. But the biggest risk is to remain paralyzed, not do anything, or try to figure it out for yourself when we have resources that we could tap into that create the clarity that we need to accurately assess the context to then figure out what the right action is.
Always take action. We hear that over and over. So really quickly, I just have to say this because I think this is important. Jason, you know, you went through a lot. You were wounded in Iraq, and you were actually shot at close range. And you had multiple surgeries, extensive reconstruction. You've been through a lot. And I have to ask this question. How do you stay the course when you want to give up? How do you stay the course when you just want to quit? Because, you know, you've been through so much. There must have been something that kept you going. And I know we've talked a lot, you know, about principles and practices and so forth, but how do you stay the course? For a lot of people out there that just feel like I'm done, or how do you keep going?
Dr. Kellyann, what you got to have a destination. So the thing is, I mean, in any goal setting or any place you want to go in life, I mean, we talk often about in the military, I talk about being a point man. You have to be a point man for your own life. And point men are individuals in the military that get you where you need to go. They understand, hey, this is the mission, this is where we're going, this is the course we're going to take, and these are the potential obstacles we're going to encounter along the way. But so often, those obstacles, when you actually get on the ground, are different, or some storm comes in, or some firefight comes in, or whatever. And you have to know what your destination is. And that's the thing. I think for so many people out there, they get off track because they're not on course and they lose sight of what their destination is. And I will say this, that sometimes in life, our destination changes in the middle of our path, but we have to figure out what the new destination is. In a storm, it's so easy because in a storm, in a crisis, is when the smoke, the pandemic, the chaos, the crisis is the heaviest. And it's when you're in the darkness that you feel the most alone, when the reality is, usually there's always people around you, but what you really need to be doing is not focusing on that pain and misery and the loneliness. You need to pull your compass out and get back on course, knowing this is my destination. You need to reaffirm that this is my destination. Is it the same destination that you were going on in the first place? It may not be. Perfect example. The night I was wounded, we were on a mission to go after a #1 Al-Qaeda leader. We call that a direct action mission. But when all of us got shot up, it suddenly shifted. That was no longer the mission. The destination changed from direct action to a rescue mission. So the course changed. Life's like that sometimes. We have to have the ability to pivot, but no matter what, you always have to know where the destination is. That's how you're able to stay the course through the darkness.
Good advice. So I want to go around real quick. I just want you to address, because we are out of time, guys. I want you to quickly address to everyone, what do you want them to know? All of these people that are going through so much right now, and I can tell you that things are opening up and people are starting to feel better, and I'm very thankful for that. But there are people that are feeling a lot of different emotions. So I just want you to all just take a minute and a half, and just tell everyone what you'd want them to know. Start with you, Ray.
What I would have wanted to know: one, you're not alone. Two, things could always be worse. That's how I program myself. Get up every morning like you won the lottery, even if you're sick. I mean, hopefully you're not, but this is what I know. No matter how bad things are, trust me, they could always be worse from any perspective. So be thankful for what you have. I always tell people, be grateful, not greedy. And that's with everything. They're not opening restaurants fast enough. I can't get my nails done fast enough. Listen, you have your health, you have your family. I live by 4 principles: family, fitness, finance, and faith, right? That's it. And faith is the ability to believe in myself. That's why I got that tattooed on there. Believe in your 4 F-bombs, apply them every day to everyday life, and you are and you will be successful in everything you do. I'll keep it short.
Wonderful, wonderful. Kara.
Oh,
you're muted.
Yep. I actually have 2 quotes that have forever changed my life, and I share them quite often because to me they hold so much weight. And the first one is, meekness is not weakness. Meekness is vulnerability, and vulnerability is valuable. So it's meekness is not weakness. Meekness is vulnerability, and vulnerability is valuable. So it just speaks to everyone really at this time. We're going through a stay-at-home order, we're losing jobs, everything is shifting, and we tend to feel as if we can't show that feeling or emotion, we can't express it, and we have to pretend like we're these hard-charging Navy SEALs and nothing ever goes wrong to us. As proof with our panel, things do happen, even to Navy SEALs, even to Olympians, even things happen. You are not wrong in feeling alone or having those feelings. There's nothing wrong with you for having those feelings. What is wrong is thinking that there's something wrong with that. What also is wrong is not allowing yourself to move forward with it and express it and talk to people and have your tribe, have your accountability partners. The other quote that I love is that the ability to stop and observe your mental chatter and impulses without acting is the first start of change.
Yes.
Is the first start. If you're able to now sit with those emotions, those feelings, and be vulnerable, or the impulses you may be having, and not act on them, that is the first rewiring of your brain to start change. Now I know we're getting somewhere. If we still have those thoughts, feelings, emotions, and we're still having those impulses, whether it's an addiction to shopping online, which I've seen, especially in Hollywood. There's a lot of Hollywood shopping,
Yes.
We won't change from them. We need to be able to observe and not act. And notice it, but not act.
Meekness is not weakness. I love that. Thank you so much. Dr. Spencer, what would you like everyone to know?
Well, there's always a path forward. You just need to find it and stay committed to it. And what I learned from my experience when I would take 150-mile training rides, you'd be so tired you could pull over and go to sleep in the gutter. And what I do know is if you just keep turning the pedals, eventually you're going to find your way to the finish line. And the promise of difficulty is that if you stay in the game long enough, you have evidence that you're doing the right thing, one day you're going to get up and believe because you know you can do it. You just have to wait till that special moment happens, and then you're going to find your way to the finish line. Once again, thank you to the panelists for their amazing contributions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dr. Spencer. And Jason, what would you like everyone to know?
I think a lot of people will look at top performers, and I hear this a lot. Oh, well, you're a Navy SEAL. Of course you overcome. Of course you've made it through these things. But that's not true. I am human. I definitely, bullets do not bounce off me. I've proven that. I have plenty of doubts and fears all the time, including right now going through this pandemic. But I, no matter what, I go back to what I know. And what I know is this relentless overcome mindset. I know that if you stop, you don't go after your destination, you're never going to get there. So I know that even though I have my doubts, even though I have my fears, even though I wonder, even though I compare myself to others, even though I say we shouldn't, but we do it because we're all human and it's natural, I know it's not going to stop me. It is the single most powerful gift that I have is my ability to keep grinding forward no matter what has happened to me. And anyone can do that. That is not a SEAL trait. It's not a Dr. Jeff Spencer trait. It's not a Kellyann superstar beast trait. Ray Cash Care, I'm going to crush it in the 1020 and the Murph back to back, squat 600 pounds trait. It is a human trait of I'm just going to drive forward no matter what. And that is a human trait, and anybody can do it.
I think that's a beautiful place to end. Drive forward no matter what. So this has been an amazing panel, and I am so grateful that you all gave your time and your service this evening. I'm sure there's many people that are so appreciative. I want to go around and just tell us where we can get more of you. We haven't seen all of you. You tend to see a lot of the same people, and we have a little treasure trove here. So tell us, Ray Cash Care, where can we find you?
I like how you hit the name there. Sorry, made me laugh.
Yeah.
Blushing. I'm on Instagram. I'm at Ray Cash Care, LinkedIn Cash Care, and then you can hit me up if you need me for anything. www.frogmindset.com. Thank you, ma'am.
And do you do consulting and things like that?
I do one-on-one coaching, accountability coach. I can come to businesses or companies and train them. It's called LTD, Leadership Team Development. And if you're looking for the creme de la creme, it's called The Project. Right now it's men only. I know I'm not going to hear it from her later, but it's 75 hours, fully immersive, mental, physical, emotional, social, spiritual breakdown and beat down in Chino Hills, California.
Fantastic. I think I would be afraid to have you as my accountability coach.
Appreciate it. Well, most do, but some take the chance.
Kara, can tell us where we can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at KILERK0. Name I will not change. I'm actually rebuilding my website right now, but you can still find me at karakillian.com. Email as well, just through the same website, or just kara@thedogpound.com. Which is a facility I'm located at currently in Hollywood. So if anyone ever wants to just train, vent, conversate, I'm here to serve. I'm right out there. If you travel to Hollywood and you want to get a workout in, let's go. I'm a big part in that human component.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kara. And Dr. Spencer.
Well, thank you, Dr. Kellyann, for just an amazing experience here. Certainly, Instagram is Dr. Jeff Spencer. For any information just regarding Cornerman coaching or my Table of Champions group or the Goal Achievement Roadmap, you can find that at www.drjeffspencer.com/1. Send me an email, jeff@drjeffspencer.com.
Fantastic. And Jason.
Yeah, Dr. Kellyann, thanks for having us on. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody noticed, I wasn't answering emails. I'm like writing all kinds of notes from everybody's comments. So definitely thank you for all learning from you. But yeah, I'm jasonredmond.com. So you can find everything about me. At the bottom is all my social media links, and you know, you find books and all that stuff there.
One of the best things I've ever done in my life, guys, is hire coaches and mentors. And these are certainly ones I would love to have. And I also want to publicly thank Dr. Gabrielle Lyon for referring this fine panel to me. I just want to give you a shout out and saying one of the best doctors I've ever known, and
absolutely
good person. So thank you, everyone. And we are going to sign out now. I have kept you 13 minutes over and I could not stop myself. So I want to thank you for your patience, and you are going to see a lot more of this panel, I'm sure. So I'm signing out with all the grace and all the love, wishing you a wonderful tomorrow. Please join us tomorrow night at 7 p.m. where we have Pastor Bernard, who has a very large congregation, speaking about healing. And we're going to talk about spiritual healing. Please tune in then. Until then, make it a great day. Bye-bye.